So here we go. I'm looking forward to this. I'm going to try and keep this as semi-professional as possible. Today I'm joined by Petrina Byrne, who's one of my best friends. She's an absolute lunatic, and when we're together, we're even worse. She's also a very good coach, a very, very good coach. She's had a quite an interesting entry into the fitness industry. She's really found her feet with who she works with. She's done more than enough qualifications, including the coaching academy qualification that I've done as well. So I just figured it'd be good to get you on for a bit of a chat, mate. A bit of a chat.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it's probably the first time we've caught up properly in a while.
It is, and it's going to be the first one that I'm going to try and keep it so it doesn't just descend into us taking the piss out of each other and everybody else, essentially. So we'll see how that goes, though.
Going to be the
So
hardest
what I want to do, let's
challenge.
just get straight to it. Yeah, absolutely. Let's just get straight to it. So I want to know your essentially give me a whistle stop tour of your life until the point where you considered starting coaching.
Okay, was born. No, so I spent most of my life like oddly skinny. Like the top of my arms were smaller than the bottom of my arms. I definitely had like issues with like food textures, which makes sense because of the late diagnosis of autism. So food wasn't like my favorite thing. I danced, I played football, and was just awfully skinny. Didn't love that. Had a lot of middle-aged women telling me that they hated me because I was skinny, and it's not my fault. They drank too much wine. But anyway, then I got polycystic ovaries, got fat, and didn't like that either. So very quickly learned that I'd been trying to put on weight for ages. Then I put on weight, but probably more than I'd hoped. So I was like, don't like being fat, don't like being skinny. Fuck do I do? So I started losing weight. My friend Bex took me to the gym for the first time when I was about 22, 23. So I'm like late starter to training. Went to the gym, was like, this is kind of fun. I was a bit stronger than I anticipated to be, blah, blah, blah. Started to lose some weight, hated my job, hated my partner at the time, hated existing. Was slowly starting to hate my body a little bit less, started helping some of my friends, and then, yeah, thought I may as well get paid for this because I hate my job.
Sick. And now the same question, but almost for your like life through school and then your, let's say, your professional career up until that point. Because obviously at school, kind of like myself, bit of an outcast at school.
You know what's really funny actually? So I was, but like I wasn't. So if you ask most people that I went to school with, like my closest friend Emily, she went to school with me, but we weren't friends at school as such. Like we got on well, but we weren't like friends. She will always say to everybody like, "Oh, Petrina was friends with everyone. Petrina was really popular." And if you ask people at school, I was friends with everybody. But what being friends with everybody means is I learned to mask in different groups and fit in wherever I was because I didn't really have a set of friends. Like I did on and off, but then they'd all be like best friends, and it's just like best friends and Petrina, like another group of friends and Petrina, and I just kind of like floating around because I just didn't like have a place to belong. I also went to a grammar school, which is just not the vibe. If I'm going to be like, that's a very polite version of what I want to say. I thought it was fucking miserable. Hated that. Then I went to college. That was better. College was better. I just focused on the fact that I wanted to be a teacher. So everything I did was like around like children, in the least noncy way possible. Went to uni so that I could. That you just realise we said we were going to keep this professional. We'll just pretend I didn't say that. Went to uni so that I could work
Nah,
with
do you know
children.
what? I want it to, so I'm just going to interrupt there. I want it to be us, but I want there to be like I want there to be a point to this and it not just be chaos. So you don't worry about that. Like the audio's going on Spotify and yeah, the audio's going on Spotify, the video's going on YouTube. Say what the fuck you want, mate. Like genuinely, I want this to be us. So don't try and tone anything down. I just want it to be like productive.
That's good. Okay, cool. So yeah, not a nonce, just to clarify. So then I started tutoring kids when I was like 18 or something like that. Worked my way through that company. Finished uni, decided I didn't want to teach in schools. I wanted to go like privately and teach through. So I did teach in schools, but like through my company. Then I ran like a tuition company, like tuition business, like centre. Had like 2 assistants, had like 30 tutors, like good fun. Like the people I work with were incredible. The kids I work with incredible. Working for other people, less incredible. So yeah, like my entire background's basically teaching, teaching and retail. Which, you know what, come in leaps and bounds of coaching. It's literally just selling myself instead of shoes and teaching adults how to not fuck up their entire existence instead of children maths and English. So yeah.
Well, that's why I wanted. That's why I asked those two questions essentially, because I think that'll give us a lot of context about you've always been in that. You've always been in an not just a position of authority, but somewhere where you've been teaching, educating, having an impact on people, and there will definitely be some crossover between teaching and coaching, I would imagine. And then also,
Massively.
obviously, the reason I asked about school is because what we're going to get round to at some point is who you are now, who you work with now, the sort of stuff that you work on now. So I figured, I figured there'd be a fair bit of kind of crossover there too. So now from this point, what I want to know is, you mentioned obviously you'd started to get stronger, even though you'd always played sport, you'd started to get stronger, you started to hate your body less, you started to make progress yourself. This seems to be like a common thing with friends. It's not actually a common thing with coaches. It's not something that I went through because I was never that person or young adult or kid or whatever that people came to for the advice. But a lot of coaches that I speak to all have this recurring theme of people started asking me for help.
Yeah.
So you've obviously had some sort of impact on your friends, your family, those around you, where you were almost doing the job before so you were doing the job, which then I imagine made you think, oh, actually, I could probably do this as a job.
Yeah, I think, to be fair, like I think as a person, I'm naturally someone who will just help people with shit anyway. So it's not like, I think if I'd have enjoyed my job and wasn't being managed by the most psycho bitch in all the world, I probably would have stuck at that forever, because I was on like an okay wage for what I grew up thinking was like a good wage. I was on a wage that was like manageable. I'd bought my house, like, you know, chilling. If I hadn't have been being pushed so hard, like away from what I was doing, I think I'd have just helped people like this for free forever and just still taught, like, which is crazy to me because obviously my life is so much better now. But I actually do think, like, if I hadn't have had that, like the pain point of my actual job at the time, I probably wouldn't have actually become a coach.
What's the thing? Chris Williamson talks about this a lot. There's a name for it. I think the region beta paradox or something like that, where if things are like moderately shit, you're actually better off if things are really shit. Because if things are moderately shit, you'll just learn to endure it. You'll put up with it. It'll be like, it's not ideal, but I'll deal with it. This is comfortable. I know how to deal with this specific set of problems. But if things get really shit, then you're like, oh, actually, no, I need to do something about this. I need to change this. It always blows my mind, like how early you became an quote unquote adult, like again, buying your house at such a young age, obviously having a fairly decent career that, like you said, probably would have seen you for the rest of your life before you made the leap into coaching. So you had a nightmare, psycho, whatever you called a boss. You then started helping your friends. So then you went and did your level 2 and 3, I'm guessing, is the next protocol for you.
Yeah, so I kept my job as well, like for quite a while. And this is another thing, like this is what I think a lot of coaches need to hear. Like, it's going to be shit for a few years and you're going to be tired and things suck. People think, oh, you can make so much money as a coach, you can have so much freedom as a coach, but then they just don't want to put that initial graft in. Because like, I was working minimum like 50, 60-hour weeks at my job, which some of that included weekends. And then I was doing my qualification every other weekend for 2 full days. So 9 till 5, I was in David Lloyd in North Manchester, every Saturday, Sunday, like every alternate Saturday and Sunday, whilst also working 60-hour weeks, whilst also just trying to stay alive. Luckily, I'd left my ex at that point, so I didn't also have that to contend with. Because like me at 24, fucking hell, like I was in such a dark place. I remember I was driving to work one day and I thought, if I just crash my car, I don't want to die, you know, it's a possibility, but like I don't want to die. But if I hurt myself enough, I can go to hospital, so I don't have to go to work today. And I was like, get a grip, Petrina. Went to work for the day. And then when I was driving home, I was like, if I just register a car, I won't have to go home to him tonight. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I've got no safe space at the moment. So even then, like, again, it's hard because I had that pain point of like, it was worth me working 80 hours a week to get to this end goal. Whereas for a lot of people, it isn't worth the 80-hour work week.
Yeah, no, I get that completely. Can we just take a little bit of a detour? At what point, you mentioned like a late diagnosis of autism and obviously other neurodivergent, neurospicy, I think we like to call it. So neurospicy. Again, you're quite vocal. One of the things that I absolutely love about you, A, in your content, B, in the events that we run together, you're always very vocal about your struggles, about your mental health and mental illness and everything that surrounds it. What's the kind of like timeline on that almost? So when we're talking about like you getting into the gym late and then leaving your job, is this like running alongside everything, or is it before, or what?
Yeah, so I've always just been anxious as a human, but I just never had like a label for it. Then when I was like 17, after some little trauma, I ended up going to the doctors about my anxiety, and then they sent me for some ridiculous therapy, which I've now been told it's a form of therapy that doesn't work for people with ADHD. So it makes sense that it didn't work for me. So I'm sitting there thinking, okay, this is bullshit, but whatever. So then I just didn't bother going to the doctors about it for years because I was like, they don't do anything that helps. So I didn't bother. But then when I was about to leave my job, I literally went to the doctors and said, hey, I don't want you to put me forward for therapy. I don't want you to like talk. I said to him like, this is how I feel. Like I actually just want either like want to die or I need this pain to stop, because I was like, this is all the things I'm doing to get out of my current situation, but I can't speed that up. So you need to give me drugs so that I can survive the next few weeks whilst I deal with all of this. So that was like the first time I properly like got some help, and I was like 24, I think, when I was leaving my job. Maybe 25 even. Like I've not been coaching that long, like 3-4 years. Yeah, so yeah, let's say 25. So I was like 25, went on my anxiety meds, remember taking them and thinking, is this how everyone feels every day? Like what a fucking delight. So like that solved all that. Then once I had left my job, left my partner, moved back to my house, I'd done all these like big life moves and started coaching.
You
I started working.
you were already doing the work. Yeah.
Yeah, I started coaching. Then I went for some therapy because I had a bit more spare money than I'd previously had. So I was like, let's go and get some therapy. Like we need some help up here. My therapy human turned around to me and she said, oh, well, when you got your like ADHD diagnosis, did they not go through X, Y, and Z to, you know, help you manage that? And I said, what do you mean when I got diagnosed with ADHD? She was like, well, why didn't they do your ADHD diagnosis when they did your autism diagnosis? And I was like, honey, what? I was like, I don't have these things. And then she was like, what do you mean? She's like, so at this point, I'm like 26. So yeah, 26. Maybe close to 27. And she was like, hun, like, you know, there's some things going on up there. Looked into it, spoke to her more, started putting the things in place that she told me to put in place. And I was like, oh, I actually feel better. And this is like so much easier to manage. And that's as well when I started to be more me. Because I've masked my whole life. Like I say, you could put me in any situation, even now, and I can fake it. Like I can literally just be like, I will fit in any way you put me, and I will tone things down when I need to. But now I'm in a position where I've got like people like you in my life where I'm just like, no matter how annoying I am, you're just like, oh, Petrina. Like, and I've only been able to meet friends and have friends like you because I'm now myself. Like, I don't even
Well,
I
that's
can't even
answered
remember
my
half
next
my
question.
childhood.
That's
Just
answered my next question,
constantly.
because I was going to ask kind of like, again, we are going to get to who you work with and the type of stuff that you work on
Yeah.
now. But my next question was going to be, and how much of an impact did that have on you, which has enabled you to do what you do now? But it sounds like a bit of a self-explanatory answer.
Yeah. Massive. And you know what, I'm grateful that it's helped with like what I do with work and who I get to work with, because like I actually love all my clients. Like they're all so much fun and hilarious and complete weirdos. And I love that. But like for me, honestly, it's more just how much my life has changed since I can just be me. Like it's not tiring because I just get to go out and be me. I don't have to go out and like act and just be like, oh yeah, I'm this really normal, blah blah. Yeah.
I think people massively underestimate that. Like I was a bit of I went through phases. It's not a phase. I went through phases as a kid, right? Like most kids do. Like I was trying to find my place. I was the little outcast. Then also while struggling with weight. Then I was the kid that was trying to fit in with everybody. Then I was then I went down the goth route, like full on Slipknot, black hoodies everywhere. This is at school when kids are awful, right? Long hair,
Yep.
big like bat necklace, and all sorts of stuff. Wearing that to school. Then I was like, right, okay, well that was like where I felt comfortable, but also didn't fit in. So then I tried to go down the chav route, and now I was so unconfident as. Which, and to be fair, do you know what carried me through all of those things is because I absolutely fucking love music, all music. I was able to weirdly use that to kind of carry me through. So I could be listening to Slipknot and then be with one group of friends listening to fucking, what was it called? DJ Ranking on a Sony Ericsson Walkman phone. And I didn't hate it. And it was like almost the thing that,
Yeah.
like you with being the chameleon, I was similar with music. So it enabled me to kind of like, I almost have a foot in multiple kind of like groups of people, but again, never really myself until similarly got to college and found my people, got a little bit better at rugby, like found the rugby team and all that sort of shit. I think people underestimate that, like not being able to be yourself is so fucking damaging, and also put such a talking about coaching now, put such a strangle on you as a coach. You see it all the time in people in the content and the people that they work with. You can spot it a mile off these days, I think. As people get better at producing content and being themselves and showing the personalities and stuff like that, you can spot it a fucking mile off, and you literally just, I feel like screaming to some coaches on Instagram and being like, take the stick out of your arse, relax a bit, like just be yourself, let your personality, no, not that much, but let your personality shine through a little bit. Yeah, it's tough. It really, really is tough. But I think unless you've been in that situation where you know you can't be yourself, it's mad. So now
I mean,
you've
going
done
to
your
grammar school definitely
PT
kills that
qualification.
for you. I've done my PT, yes.
Oh,
I've
mate,
done
yeah, same.
my level 2 and 3. Yeah, I did my level 2 and 3, and then I started PT in people's homes. So I knew from the get-go, because obviously with my old job, like I was running like the biggest centre in Manchester. Like I had like 300 plus kids, like numbers wise, I was smashing the job. But my regional manager didn't like me because she'd say, oh, try doing this. And I'd be like, I work in Cheetham Hill. Most of my parents don't understand English. Let me do it my way, the way they understand and trust, instead of you telling me that I need to hold this big evening and teach the parents how to do maths. I'm like, bro, we use Google Translate in parents meetings. Like, get over yourself. So because I've been like pushed out and like overmanaged and just treated like shit, I just knew I couldn't work in a gym, because I already knew that I didn't like a lot of things about the fitness industry. I've learned to love a lot of things about the fitness industry now, but obviously my only like experience of it at that time was like Pure Gyms and the David Lloyd I'd trained at, and that's not the vibe that I enjoy. So I was like, well, I can't go and work at a gym. I can't go. I just didn't know what to do. So I literally just started posting on Facebook like, hey guys, I'm going to be a PT. I bought like £30 of equipment off some silly woman who was selling like hundreds of pounds of equipment for 30 quid on Facebook Marketplace. Went and picked it up so quickly before she realised that it was worth more money. And then I'd put that in my car and I was driving all over Manchester. Like in one day, I would be in like Bolton and then Levenshulme and then like Trafford and then here. And I was charging like less than, I think I was charging £130 a month for one session a week, which like was like my minimum package. So I'm like less than £30 an hour, not including fuel, not including anything.
I was going to say, yeah, expenses traveling, yeah.
It was mental. I was paying so much petrol as well, because obviously I've got like heavy equipment in this car that I then like get in set up for them. Oh god, I lived on beans on toast for so long. But yeah, then I this is Chris. I don't think I just don't want to admit this to you because it's nice, but I stumbled across you on Instagram. And I was fangirling the shit out of what you were doing because I was like, oh my God, like he works online, he looks like a complete freak, like he doesn't seem normal. And I was like, this is such a good vibe. And then was it James Smith's event that I bumped into you for the first time?
I was gonna bring this up, yeah. It was
Right.
it was his which tour? Not a life coach, the speaking gig that he did in Manchester. Victoria
Yeah.
Warehouse. I think it might have been 2021. Yeah. I want to say 2021 when I first met you.
But somewhere around then. And I was speaking to my friend that I'd gone with, and I was like, oh, I really want to go over and say hello, but they're not going to know who I am. Like, it's just going to be really uncomfortable. Blah, blah, blah. I'm just not going to do it. And she was like, if you don't, I'm going to do it. And that's one more embarrassing for you. So, okay. Like shaking, and I was like, "Hi," like that's literally that's all I heard myself say in my head. And you went, "Oh yeah, PB Fitness, Petrina, yeah, I recognise you." I was like, "Oh my God, best friends." And at that moment, I felt like I
remember.
I'm not
this.
gonna lie
it was at
to
the
you,
bar.
Lewis. Yeah, it was at the bar. I genuinely felt like I'd made it in life because then you were like, "Yeah, like." And you basically just said something about me being weird, and at this point, I was trying to hide the word. So you were like, basically said like a good coach, blah blah blah, and then said something about me being like weird, and I was like, damn, they seen right through my charade. But yeah, I was basically just a little fangirl.
The Petrina that I met 3 years ago at that event, and who you were on social media and everything that comes with it. And this is what I want you to unload about now, is night and day. So if you're listening to the audio of this, if you're watching the clips, you'll see. But night and day, Petrina's now got more metal in her face than, well, fuck knows what. mullet, black fringe, white like silver hair, covered in tattoos. Like the Petrina that you were then, I think you probably still had fake tan on from that fucking shoot that you ended up doing, which I'm sure you're going to talk to us about.
It's
It's
embarrassing.
night and day, and I can't believe that you were managing to almost be that version of yourself when this is obviously who you are and who you were.
Yeah, and I think that what's funny about that is like you just said version of yourself. Like there wasn't a version of me. Like there wasn't, like I didn't exist. There was Petrina with your fitness friends, Petrina with uni friends, Petrina with these friends, and these Petrinas were all just different people. And like that's what I found really hard when I started therapy and stuff, because I was like, they were like, well, who is Petrina when she's not with all these people? And I was like, it's a really, really good fucking question because I don't have an answer to that at all.
Good question. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, oh yeah, cool. I'm used to having answers to shit. Now I've got nothing. So for me, it was a lot of like trial and error and like cutting out people, realizing what I actually enjoy, prioritizing those things, and doing things on my own really helped with that. Because like if I went on holiday with somebody, all of a sudden whatever they want to do, it sounds like the best thing they've ever said to me. Like, oh my God, yeah, I'd love to go scuba diving. I don't want to go scuba diving. I don't really like putting my face in water. It makes me feel like I'm gonna drown, you know. But I'd have done it like back then because I'd have been like, and then my whole personality would be that I'm some cute scuba girl because I did it once, like because I just didn't know who I was. So doing things on my own really helped. I actually like, yeah, I made myself like go to download. I went on holidays. I went just anywhere and everywhere I could go on my own, and gigs and stuff like that. And then the more people I met, well, disclaimer, most of them are neurodiverse. So I thought I was going out and meeting loads of like-minded people, but actually I was just finding more mentally ill people, and it's fantastic because I was like, oh, okay, cool. They're all weird in their own ways, so I can just be weird in my way, and we're all still going to get on. Everything's going to be great. But I feel like the big turning point in terms of like business and not just me figuring out who I am, like having obviously I had a business coach years ago who told me that I would never make money as a coach, and I said, look, it's normal. And that in that moment I didn't think, oh, what a horrible man. I thought, well, he's right. I'll just make myself normal and whatever. And I tried my best. You've seen the photos. But a really big thing for me is, and this person probably don't remember saying it, right? I was at a wedding, potentially. I'd already started to get pretty weird at this point, like, but more in like day-to-day life. So like you would have noticed me getting weirder. People on Instagram would have noticed I was looking weirder, but I was still very much being a coach online. And it was at a wedding last year. I'm trying to think when it was now. Year-ish, let's say. A year to 18 months ago. I don't know. I should really know how long my friend's been married. But one of her friends follows me on Instagram. And he came up to me and was like, you're one of the funniest people like I've spent time with. Like, you're so much fun to be around. Like, you're so engaging. Like, you're so this, that, and the other. And I was like, keep talking. And he said, I follow you on Instagram. And he's like, where the fuck is that personality? And I was just like, fair enough, valid point. And at the time, I felt a bit
I was going to say, I was waiting. How did that land?
At the time, so I was like, yeah, you're making a good point. Like, I'm trying. It's just like excuses, because I knew that realistically, it's just because I was so scared to put like me online, because I'd had nothing but criticism about who I am.
Yeah.
But I just kicked something. Sorry if that was really loud. So I was really scared to put myself online. But Jesus, I didn't know. I just knocked over. So yeah, I took it all right. I was just like, yeah, fair, valid, blah blah. But I went home. I just remember thinking, like, never was a truer word spoken. Like, I was like, I've worked really hard to stop lying about who I am, but I'm still lying online. So I thought, fuck it. Started being a lot weirder, and it has paid off. So yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, I guess that's where, well, I know it is. So again, loaded question. That's where things kind of like start to take off. You start to find like the people. The thing is, and again, like I spoke about this recently on somebody else's podcast that was on, like when I first got into the fitness industry, I similarly to you, I hated it because I felt alienated. I felt like I didn't fit in. A lot of the stuff that I'd seen previously and also tried previously, it just made me feel worse about myself because I couldn't do it, right? I couldn't do these things. I couldn't stick to a meal plan and fucking eat 200 grams of mushrooms for breakfast. Like, just mad shit, like mad shit. And I was like, oh, well, that must be what the fitness industry is. So I fucking hate it. So it took me ages to get round to like being like, no, actually, I do love this. And I carried this chip on my shoulder for so long, but weirdly, I did find that it helped, just like I'm sure that you found that it's helped, because just like you and me previously hated the fitness industry, whatever, felt alienated by it. There are people out there that aren't coaches, that want coaches, that also feel the same way. So I like, but Body and Brain, one of the reasons it got to the stage that it did and it was as successful as it was, is because I was there, just like you are, for the people that felt alienated by the fitness industry.
Yeah. I would say at least 2-3 times a week, I will get someone message me and they're like, I am so glad I found your page. Like, you really make this normal. Like, I literally just before I came on here, someone said that apart from themselves, because, we love self-confidence, that I'm their favorite fitness person. And I'm like, it's so silly to me because, like, I do enjoy like fitness and blah, blah, blah. I don't even really class myself as a fitness person. Like, I always refer to myself as being massive and having all these huge muscles. And realistically, I am aware I'm in good shape. I am strong. I have muscle. I'm not massive, but is it really funny to call myself massive? So people are like, you're not even big. You're not even massive. Do you know how much it winds people up when I'm like, you what? You what? And I'm like, I don't even look big when I do it. It's just funny because it's just so delusional. But my people need that. They need someone who just isn't taking it too seriously, that's like calling themselves massive and saying that they're going to fight Tories for a laugh. Like, I think me hating the fitness industry, like I say, I don't hate the fitness industry anymore. I hate aspects of the fitness industry and probably over 50% of the people in the fitness industry. But there are some like pockets of just beauty in there. But yeah, I think that us being little weirdos helps us get our fun people.
Yeah, for sure. Just on that note of like you taking the piss on your stories and stuff, I what one of my favorite things to do is look at your stories when you've put one of those, what's it called? NGL.
Have you
Not,
seen
is it not gonna lie
today's?
or whatever it is?
Yeah, have you
No,
seen
I've not had a
today's?
look
I've
yet.
not even
When you've
posted.
put like your anonymous question box.
I
Yeah.
haven't even
So
posted it,
obviously
right?
you post you post your actual question box and you get
Yeah,
typical questions like people that
amazing
want
questions.
help, people that need help.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you post your anonymous one, and I don't know if obviously I see a lot of people do this thing. I tried it a couple of times. I didn't really get much interaction, so I stopped trying it. But I see other people use the anonymous question boxes, and it's almost like the questions they get are genuine questions from people that are maybe too a bit embarrassed to ask or ashamed to ask or want to be anonymous. Maybe those people get these sorts of responses that you do, and they just don't share it. But it almost seems like your NGL, whatever it's called, not gonna lie, anonymous question box is reserved solely for people to rip the shit out of you. And I'm like, what blows my mind about this is you fuckers are following her, watching her stories that avidly,
And
that you
engaging.
take the opportunity. Yeah, take the opportunity that when she posts that fucking anonymous question box, you're like, this is my time to shine. I'm like, what goes through somebody's brain? Sometimes
I
I do
love
think when
it.
I read some of them, I do think when I read some of them, I'm like, surely that's a mate just taking a piss. That has got to be a mate taking a piss. But then I'm like, no, because I know the sort of slack that she gets.
Yeah. Because like the thing is, I don't actually share them all as well because some of them are really horrible. So if it's something I can make funny, I'll make it funny. So today I got one. By the way, I've not shared my link. So somebody has searched my link and has saved my link, right? And it just says you're not big. And I was like, bold from somebody who doesn't even fill their socks. Like, come on, like behave. And also use the right you're. But I'm just like, okay, you do you. And I know it's not my friends because before now, when someone puts something up, I'm like, God, for fuck's sake, like, are my close friends like, was this one of you guys? Because Jesus fucking Christ, just come and beat me up at my house next time, I beg. Like, but I do get some beautiful questions. So the reason I still post it is one, it is funny, but two, I actually do still get some really amazing questions that people are too scared to ask, like, and not be anonymous. I still post it. I've got it down to
You get
there's
some heavy
three
shit.
people.
You also
I
get
get
some
some
heavy
really heavy
shit
shit.
in
Yeah.
yeah.
So I don't want to not post it for that reason. But we've got the Footman. But the Footman, he's really open and honest. He's messaged me today asking loads of questions anyway. Turns out he's younger than me. Found that
So
out today.
just a bit of context, because just a bit of context. So there's this guy that constantly uses these ways to ask for pictures of your feet, and he's just a bit of a creep.
Yeah.
You actually posted, well,
He's
I'd
not,
say a
you know
bit of a
what?
creep,
He's
but you
actually
actually
not. I
posted
actually get
recently on
on
your
with him
story.
really well.
But did you not post on your story recently that he's also is he not a coach himself?
Yeah.
So
That's how I met him.
Footman is a coach. Yeah.
Yeah. So he'll
Mad.
I'll put up a picture of me looking like fit. I'm going out. I look 10 out of 10. He'll be like ass 0 out of 10, no feet like 0 out of 10, angry face, and he's like, but he actually rarely sends them anonymously. He puts them in the actual question box. He's just like, send me your toes.
You know what?
I'm
I
like,
respect that. Say it with your chest.
honestly, I respect him so much. Privately later, I'll send you some of his responses to my stories that are fucking hilarious. Like he just put ferociously barking at my screen, Petrina, because I posted a photo of myself. Oh, and I just thought, how can I be mad? Like, anyway, so yeah, I get really horrible messages. I found out who one of them was, which was really funny because I just messaged him and said, "Really, Adam?" He'll probably listen to this because he clearly stalks me. Because he was the only person that wasn't like one of my friends that had seen my story by the time that he messaged me to tell me that my business was a scam because you can get all the information from Google. He said something else horrible about me. So I just texted him saying like, "Really, Adam?" And he was like, just sent back question marks and never spoke to me again. And all of a sudden the really nasty messages stopped and I was like, oh, got it right, did I? Then there's the man that I call the your man, because he doesn't spell your right, but he's always just telling me that I'm ugly or fat or like not big or that I'm not funny, which is the worst lie, because I'm hilarious. But yeah, I don't share a lot of them. So I got death threats quite a few times. Oh, Cass has come to say hello. Yeah, I got death threats quite a few times. They weren't cute. Then I get a lot about my body, and they're the ones that I don't share, because even though my followers think it's funny to see my response, because they know I don't care, the ones I don't respond to are when they're normally saying that I'm like fat or overweight or something like that, because I just think other people don't need to think, because I'm not fat. So like if I post something, I've been called fat, and someone like who is overweight sees that, they're going to go, God, if they think Petrina's fat, what are they going to think about me? So I'm really mindful about what I share. Like I have at least one a week that tells me to go kill myself. I don't share them. I want to because it's funny and I have so many good comebacks, but I won't, because obviously that's triggering for other people. So I am like careful, but it's a shit show in there. Like it's being a strong woman is difficult anyway, but if you are a strong woman that is also alternative, there's just so much for men to be mad about, like toxic, fragile, egoed men that are like, oh, she's strong and confident, what can I do to change this? And the answer is nothing, because they insult me and I think it's funny.
Do you find that with obviously the sorts of people that follow you and the sort of people that you work with, again, most likely been through some fairly heavy situations themselves, previous trauma, therapy, everything like that. Do you find that you have to be very mindful of what you do say and what you don't say? Not just with your, I want to start talking about your actual coaching now. So not just with your social media, but like in general. Obviously, I guess you have to be a little bit more mindful of not triggering people, because some of the stuff that some of the people that you're working with have been through some objectively heavy shit.
Horrendous things. I'd say most of them as well. Like, I don't think I've got a single client that isn't either disabled, chronically in pain, chronically unwell, neurodiverse in one way or another, mentally unwell or unstable in one form or another, someone who's been through horrendous trauma, someone who is at the moment dealing with horrible things. Like, I don't think I've got a single client that doesn't tick at least one of those boxes. And I've obviously got clients that some of them are just anxious, but then being anxious can be debilitating anyway. So yeah, I do. Thing is, I don't mind, like, I think some people see having to be careful of not triggering people as like some really like hard battle. And actually, like, just being thoughtful. Like, I know I'm a cunt, right? And I'm not like, I can be horrible when I need to be, and I can be, but I am one of the most caring and nice people that anyone will ever meet if you're like someone that I care about. And why would I want to actively say something that's going to upset someone? And I just don't think it's that hard. Or you fuck up and you apologize. Like, I've got quite a few like non-binary and trans clients, and someone was like, oh, would you not find it hard with pronouns? I was like, no, but sometimes I mess up and I will correct myself, say sorry, and we move on. Like, they're not cross with me, they don't stop working with me. I think like social media acts that like people who've been through trauma, or like trans people, anyone who's actively being slammed for getting triggered too easily at the moment, get a really bad rep. Because actually what happens when you trigger someone is they go away really quietly, they don't bother you at all, and they're really fucking upset. So actually, like, why would you want to do that? Why wouldn't you want to be mindful of people's feelings? Like, I have a very dark sense of humor, and I will joke so much about my own mental health, and to be fair, joke about other people's mental health when I know that that's how one of their coping mechanisms. But there's so many things that I just won't joke about because it's not funny. Like, it's just mean. And I don't think when people are like, oh, you can't even be funny anymore without offending somebody, that's a lie. I'm funny and I don't offend people, apart from nonces and Tories, and I just don't care about their feelings.
There it is. How do you so often
too long?
No, it's good. Like I said, let's go. off the back of that, then, how do you deal with when I was working, when I had Body and Brain, and I was dealing with, again, a lot of people that were, I would try and draw the line. I got very good at drawing the line, and I brushed up on the DSM-5, so the basically the document that they use to kind of like diagnose mental illness. And so I would toe the line very well between mental health and mental illness, right? And with a lot of the people that I work with, I would help people with disordered eating, but I would be very wary not to go into eating disorders. And again, for people that aren't listening, coaches that aren't listening, there are certain things that you can and can't work. Not as in, not an ability issue. There are certain things that you absolutely should not be working with and absolutely should be referring out for because you aren't qualified. There's probably some sort of question about insurance and liability and all sorts of stuff, right? So
Ignoring
I got very good at knowing what that line was. Yeah, absolutely. So I got very good at knowing what that line was and knowing almost like where my jurisdiction ended. How do you deal with that, and how do you deal with the pressure of, because again, a lot of the people that you do work with are on that line, and there are certain things that you can absolutely help them with, but there are also certain things where you have to be able to go, do you know what, we need help, we need external professional help.
So I ask a lot of questions, so basically I have a lot of clients that have got like previous history of eating disorders, not disordered eating disorders. They're all in recovery. I won't work with somebody who is not like classed as in recovery. I will never say recovered because I don't think anybody truly recovers from an eating disorder. But I have numerous clients that are in eating disorder recovery. And obviously that's a risky game because obviously like we'll work together. Like I have most of them counting calories and they're okay with it. Or like we do have other things that we do if they really can't like handle that or whatever. But it's all around like language and making sure that I'm asking questions so I know if they slip that I can be like, okay, cool, like we need you to have therapy. I have some clients that I wouldn't work with until they found a therapist and was working alongside them as well, and a therapist that was willing to talk to me so that she could just like forward on like, this is our plan, this is what we can do, this is what we can't do. So I don't I basically won't work with someone that is like still what I would call too broken. And because all my clients are broken, I am broken, and that is fine, but it needs to be at like a manageable point. So either they've been in therapy or they're currently in therapy. I will work with people who are currently in therapy for eating disorders if I have contact with their therapist. I know that probably skews some lines, and I imagine that would really piss off some coaches, but I also know how much they need me, like, and not just in a like exercise way, just like they see it like as just as valuable as their therapy. And I know that I can add to that, but I am very careful, and I am the first person to go and tell them to go and get their meds checked when they're having low days, and I'm the first person to check in after they've had that doctor's appointment to check that working with me is still a good idea. I'm not a coach that's going to cling on to somebody for money. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, you need to take a few months break from me then if you're having this mental break, just go.
It's a very interesting topic because I'm not going to sit here and say if it's right or wrong. It's nobody's place to say if it's right or wrong. My stance on it is, if you weren't doing it, who is more equipped than average Joe or average insert female name, whatever, right?
Joe's also a female
they're
name.
Gonna. I was thinking that as I said it, and that's why I tailed off. I was like, how can I save that? And then I've got, thanks for playing
You
that.
went to a really good gender neutral name and then fucked it up.
I know, I was like, how the fuck have I done this on this episode out of them? No.
I'm joking.
So, but there are coaches out there that aren't as equipped, maybe don't know these things in the first place, maybe aren't as compassionate or empathetic as you, and don't have the experience. So, wrong or right, not my place to say. The way my stance on it is they're gonna, if you were to say no, I'm not going to work with you based on these things, and they really wanted a coach, and they really wanted to start making progress physically and doing whatever they could to improve physical health, fitness, fat loss, whatever. If you don't take them on, somebody's going to. and that it's not my
Exactly.
place or anybody's place to say you should or shouldn't be working with them. So I personally, as long as you are doing the things that I know you do, working alongside
Yeah.
therapists, making sure that you're close to all of your clients, providing a community for them, everything that you do in your coaching business is incredible. So I personally, from where I'm sat, I'm like, I would rather them work with you or someone like you than
Yeah.
somebody that's not got a fucking clue and could potentially be damaging. And that's not to say that I think those people, the other coaches that they might work with, would do it intentionally. I don't think there's many
No, but
people
they
out
they
there that would
really fuck things up.
intentionally. Correct. Yeah. So I don't
Like,
think there's many people out there that intentionally would want to fuck somebody up and that sort of stuff. But it's more through like ignorance. Like I had no idea
yeah,
until I discovered Amelia. I had no idea. Zero.
yeah.
I'd not done EIQ at this point. I'd not seen any content around it. I was saying stuff at the time which now I look back at some of my old content and I'm like, holy fuck, right? Jesus, I'm glad that opinion changed. Or I'm
Archive.
glad that kind of or I just leave it there so I can watch it. It's hilarious. But again, like everybody, well, I believe everybody in the coaching industry should continuously be looking to learn and educate themselves and further the knowledge in all of these areas, because at the end of the day, it's your fucking well-being of your clients. It's not like a little tiny thing. It's the thing. So yeah, it's
Like,
mad. So
it's
next thing that I want to talk to you about. Now, go on.
it's I think that when a lot of coaches, when they finally start making some money as well, they kind of forget that people are people. And it's like, oh, it's a number, it's another client. Like, I have so many clients that I've worked with other coaches, and I'm not like, don't get me wrong, there's some that are on my like sacrifice list to Satan, but most of them haven't done intentional bad things. And they've like really, really fucked up my client's relationship with food that she'd fixed in therapy. And now like we're redoing what we've done, like what she'd previously done in therapy. And it's yeah, it pisses me off. There's not many that are on the sacrifice list, but there's some.
What is interesting is I'm going to sit here and say this now on this podcast, knowing that it's going out, and obviously I'm not going to edit this bit out, but I've probably given advice previously that has been harmful to people, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of coaches out there that will sit in their ivory tower and say, no, never, I do this, I do that. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. It's about...
I've done it.
It's about knowing, it's about learning, knowing more, doing better, being better. Like, it's okay to say in the past that you've made mistakes. Everybody, find me a coach that hasn't given something to a client that hasn't been harmful or shouldn't have been given to the client in the first place. I don't believe there is one. But you should be learning, you should be bettering yourself, and you should be becoming more knowledgeable and again more caring, more skilled in actual coaching, not fitness and training plans and nutrition and stuff, like people skills and psychology and everything. And there's so many people out there that I don't think have got the fucking balls to sit there and say, yeah, do you know what, I fucked up, but I'm better now.
I have fucked up so many times. Like, nothing, I wouldn't say I've massively like ever fucked up in terms of talking about like disordered eating or things like that, 'cause it's something I'm really aware of. But for me, it was more like the other side of it. Like, I know I've given out like semi-dodgy nutrition advice before, especially when like the whole people with polycystic ovaries shouldn't have carbs, like, which is, I've very much proven to myself and my clients, is a bullshit for most people. But I have done like stupid things like that. But you mentioned psychology then, and that is the one thing that I think all coaches ignore. Not all coaches, most coaches ignore. Like, I did so much psychology at university, predominantly child psychology, but we're all children, so it's the same shit. But like, if you actually understand how people's brains work, like, you are going to coach them so much better. And people are just like, oh no, I'm going to learn these great questions and I'm going to learn how to tell them what to eat and learn what I'm going to be a great coach. No, you're going to be a fine coach, but you're not going to be a great coach because you don't have a fucking clue what's going on inside people's heads.
I agree. So that brings us nicely onto this final topic, actually, because there's a lot of people out there that claim to sell confidence. That it's a bit of a buzzword. No, I know, and that's where we're going with this. So it's a bit of a buzzword. It's even more so popular. Again, I think the James Smith book is brilliant, to be honest. But again, it came out that he was writing a book on.
I'd already mentioned that my whole thing was around fucking confidence, and now I've changed it so it didn't like I was bloody copying him.
But I do vividly remember when it started to come out. That's what he was writing his next book about, and that's what he was speaking about. All of a sudden, everybody's selling confidence. Everybody's going to make you more confident. And a lot of people, the thing that still pisses me off, and there's still people that are doing it, think that putting somebody through a physical transformation, it is the thing that makes them more confident. Does it have an impact? Yes. It's what is it? It's causality and I can't remember what I'm trying to say.
Causation?
Correlation.
Causation, correlation. Yeah.
So it's two completely different things. Does it have an impact? Of course it does. Is it the thing? Yeah. No. So to say it is, it
because
isn't.
Their confidence is going to go away straight away as soon as they actually drink water.
Yeah. So you do sell confidence. And you do some solid work with your clients on confidence and the two events. So for anybody that's not seen it, myself and Petrina run an event together, formerly known as, it sounds like we're talking about Prince, the artist formerly known as, the anti-fitness event, now rebranded to the anti-bullshit fitness event, because we're not actually anti-fitness, as we've covered in this podcast. Both of your talks so far have been around and on the topic and subject of confidence, with some very, very good actionable things that you do with your clients to increase confidence. Talk to me about where the idea came from, first of all, and then talk to me about some of the things that you actually do and implement with your clients to do that.
So, hating myself is where it started. Nice and simple. I did not like myself at all until I was probably 26, 27. My mum often described me as the best fake confident person she's ever met, because she would obviously see that I wasn't confident, how sick I felt, but she'd see me switch it on, which is obviously, now we realise, masking. All the fake confidence was obviously me pretending to be yet another character in the PB fitness life.
Surely not. No.
I'd meet another person, it's like, new character unlocked, and it's like, exhausting. So I think that massively helps anyway, because I actually have had to grow in confidence. So I fixed confidence and I became confident, and I am actually now, I would say, like, delusionally confident, like obnoxiously confident, because so like people can and do just say to my face like, oh, you're really ugly, and I'm like, well, still fuck your mom, like. So it just doesn't impact my being at all. And that for me is confidence. It's like, I don't actually believe I'm the most beautiful person in the world. I don't think I'm the strongest person in the world. I don't think I'm the best coach in the world. Well, maybe I think I'm that one, but I don't actually think like I'm as great as I say I am all the time. But the difference is that what other people say to me makes no difference to that. Like, if I'm going to feel shit about myself, it's because I've badmouthed myself. It's not coming from an external thing. And realizing that was like unlocked everything in my business, unlocked everything online. And then I knew that that's what I needed to give other people. My clients make incredible physical transformations. They just do incredible things. But it just does nothing.
Mate, on that note, actually, I saw you post something. I'm sorry to interrupt. On that note, is it Mark, the runner, one of your clients, or maybe a previous client?
Yeah,
I mean, he's fucking smashed it.
Yeah, Mark,
like absolutely smashed it. Anyway, sorry. When you said physical transformation, then I've seen you post something recently, and I was like, yeah, you're 100%.
You know what's funny, actually, that wasn't a recent post. I think it might be in like my pinned ones, but yeah, right. Mark is unreal. Like, the thing is though, and that's your reaction to Mark, but that's someone else's reaction to a different client. Someone else, like, my clients look like different people, and even if their bodies like look like, you still tell it's them like they're different people. Because one of the first things I do with people who are lacking in confidence is talk through boundaries, because people don't understand how you can't be confident unless you have boundaries in place. And it will be things like, oh, I'm going to see my family this weekend. So one of my clients has got an auntie that we call her Ozempic, because she's just... So literally her message on Monday morning was, how was it with Ozempic? Because she's a cunt from what I can gather. she'll be like, oh, look all this weight that I've lost by stabbing myself, blah blah blah, and then she'll be like, what are you doing? She's like, first of all, my client looks fucking sick, like she's doing everything so well, she's getting so strong, like I'm obsessed, like amazing person. And I was just like, okay, cool, I'm gonna give you 4 nice answers you can give her, and I'm gonna give you 4 awful answers you can give her. Okay, so I'll give them examples and I get them laughing about these horrendous situations, because I'm like, right, tell me the worst thing she's going to say, like the worst possible thing. And then she'll tell me and I'll be like, oh, biting my tongue. Because I'm like, don't actually just send her with a gun to kill her. But, you know, so it's just teaching them to be more playful with like insults to start with. And then it will be giving them tools to do it. And it's not something that I necessarily even tell them that I'm doing. And I do this, like most of the things that you need to do as a coach need to be like, they don't notice you're doing it. I will say to them, like, they're having a bad day, and I'll be like, right, I want you to go to the gym, and I want you to message me and tell me something you've really enjoyed about today. I'm going to tell me something you've really loved about your body today. And they'll be like, oh, I'd have to do this. And then before I know it, they start sending me those messages and I'm not asking for them anymore. I'll say to them, like, all week this week, every single time you hit a PB, I want you to message me. And I don't want it to be like, oh, I've hit a PB. I want you to message me like, I'm the best bitch in all this land. I could fight all the ogres in the land. I'm ready for war. I'm going to stab a man in the eyeball. I hit 30-kilogram leg press. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not even like massive weights. So I'm making them hype themselves up in the most ridiculous ways. And the issue is with like confidence and doing things that are scary is that it's too serious in your mind. So if you sit there talking, you're like, you just need to love yourself more. Go and spend 6 hours just staring at photos of your body that you hate and blah, blah, blah. And do this. And you can manifest the self-love. Like, I'm big. I'm like, I'm a fucking knobhead. Like, I'm surrounded by fucking crystals and pretty rocks. Like, I'm a big manifestation gal, but it needs to be done with other shit. Like, so then if you get them being silly about it, they're going to be more likely to do things. And that just makes things easier. I still get messages from people like that I've worked with years ago that tell me all these new things that they're doing on their own. I get followers that'll be like, oh, you've inspired me to go to gigs on my own. And then that's all it takes. You get someone to do something big like that on their own and their whole life changes. Before you know it, they've quit their job. Before you know it, they've left their shit partner. I'm also really good at breaking people up from people who, like a lot of people's partners are their issues with confidence. It's not them. I'm on 4 divorces, by the way. One of which had 10 children. Well done,
No
me.
way.
Honestly, you know what though? And it's not even like a Petrina hates men kind of thing. It's actually like, I love love. And I think that it can be the most beautiful and empowering thing in the world, or it can destroy your entire life and make you an empty shell of a human. So I have clients with incredible partners, and I will literally be messaging my client like, I sent a message, I think it was yesterday, like, I love Drew so much. And my client Sam's partner, Drew, he's the dream. He's like, have you spoken to Petrina about this? I think you need more support than just me. And I'm like, oh, Drew, like, it's just adorable. I fucking love it. And he'll be like, oh, do you want me? And he checks the bread in the supermarket to find the one with the most protein in. Like, just, we love to see it. Love him, right? So I'll break people up if they're in relationships that aren't good. That helps with their confidence. Wouldn't recommend doing that as a coach though, because it is ballsy, and I think I'm one of the very few people that can get away with doing that. Again, subliminal message, subliminal. That's what I'm sticking with. That won't happen. Subliminal messaging works very well with that. But yeah, I think basically just making them do things that they don't want to do, but overhyping them. People live for praise. If I'm constantly telling them every single day how strong they look, pointing out muscles to them, pulling up their photos and being like, that booty though. A direct quote from my call yesterday with one of my clients. She literally came up on the call and I was like, that booty though. No other words, no hello, nothing.
I've seen it. I've seen the messages. I mean, to be fair, you share them on your story, so they're there for everybody to see. This
is true. But I think hyping people up goes further than you realise. Making them hype themselves up in ways that doesn't feel cringy. Like, write down 5 things you love about yourself. No. Tell me how thick that ass be and talk about something else you like. And make it easier. And that's like, there's genuine like actual psychology behind making things silly to make people do it, which I would massively stand by, and I won't bore you all massively with it now, but just downplay everything and make it exciting. Gamify your life, make everything fun, and your clients will be more confident. And it's not even necessarily that I've got this, go watch this webinar and I'm going to make you feel the most confident person ever because I'm going to give you all the cheat codes. It's actually the long-term graft of it all that makes my clients confident. It's not like I'm teaching them particular things. It's the way I talk to them. It's the way I hype them up. And it's the fact that they know I mean it. Like, don't compliment your clients on shit that they've not achieved. Be honest with them. Be harsh with them. Tell them the truth. And then when you do hype them up, they're going to fucking believe it.
I think that's really, really important, especially for coaches that are going to be listening to this. Is like, it isn't just a webinar. You just mentioned it. Then it's not just a webinar. You can't just go to ChatGPT, ask it to plan a webinar for you, record it, stick it in your resource area, and then be like, oh, and here's the confidence masterclass. Like, there's certain things that are bigger, heavier, deeper, more ongoing, longer term plays that take time, and it's something that you do with your clients really, really well. And I think it stands out even more because I follow a lot of coaches, mainly coaches, to be fair, outside of like family and friends and close friends that aren't in the industry. I watch a lot of stories. I comment on people's shit because I'm genuinely interested. I react to coaches' stuff. I watch the stories. I'll send them messages, all that sort of shit. Not even with an ulterior motive of eventually I want you to buy my shit, which I do, obviously. But because I genuinely am interested, there aren't many coaches, and this is not just me hyping you up because you're one of my best mates. There aren't many coaches who I see their clients posting stories about their coach, genuine, meaningful pictures in the gym, messages, just all sorts of stuff. So, and the point I'm trying to get at here is that with the type of people that you work with their background, if you had taken quote unquote normal person, right? Just like run of the mill person and made them mega confident. That's amazing. For you to take the people that you work with and make them incredibly confident is such, because you're not going from neutral to 10 on the confidence scale. You're going from -10 to 10 on the confidence scale. If there was such a thing. So I think it's fucking fascinating. So literally the last thing that I want to kind of like round up on, and again, because there will be coaches listening to this, I want to talk about very briefly coaches being more confident and how they can be more confident, because I've actually, at the time of recording, got a reel going out tomorrow that I filmed today talking about this very thing. And for me, it's about knowing that you are what you say you are. There's so many quotes out there about confidence. For me, it's about how can you increase more your confidence as a coach, and why do you need to? Well, if you aren't confident in your coaching skills and your service and the results that you can get, you are holding yourself back from helping more people because you're not putting yourself out there. How do you get that confidence? Get a load of people, whether they're fucking paying you or not, and be a good coach. Support them, get a good result. For me, my confidence as a coach started to like skyrocket when I realized, hold on, I've been in the industry 3, 4, 5, 6 months, and I'm churning out better results for people than all of these people that have been in the industry however long, because I'm fucking grafting for it. I'm putting the work in, I'm doing the things, I'm supporting them, I'm whatever, right? When I got a repertoire of results that I could literally, I still have, I actually showed it to Maria yesterday, I still have on my Canva, I have a file saying results, and it's every single bit of sort of social proof that I've ever had, not just before and afters, screenshots of messages, checking feedbacks, everything. This thing is like 700 images long. So whenever I'm like, I need to remind myself this, I'm like clicking in there, I'm like, oh yeah, no, yeah, it's all right. Like you can be confident, you know how to coach,
do know what you're doing.
Don't worry about it. So for coaches that are listening to it, outside of that, how did you develop confidence as a coach?
So I truly, truly believe fake it till you make it is a really valid way to like tackle confidence. I think because you're not going to be confident at the beginning. How the fuck are you going to be confident at the beginning? You don't know what you're doing. You've not got any client results. You actually are probably fucking things up as well. Like, I was not a good coach the first year. I was just turning up with my box full of equipment and making them move. Like, you're not a good coach. You need to pretend that you are a good coach. Because even if you're not pretending to be a good coach, you're not pretending to be confident, like, you're giving your clients nothing. At least if you're pretending to be confident, they're still seeing this like delusional person in front of them thinking, I can be delusional too. So I think faking it at the beginning is really important. But the thing that comes back to why I do well, why my clients are confident, why I'm confident, is I actually care. I care so much about my clients, which is why they share so much on social media. By the way, I don't even reshare them all. I don't have time. Like, I have to limit myself, because if I reshare everyone's stories that tag me every day, it's all my story. So, like, I genuinely care about them as people. I genuinely care about them as clients. Like, I ask them more about these things. And how can I not be confident that I'm giving my clients the best that I could possibly give them if I care? And I think that that's massively underrated. Psychology and caring for people. Like, I won't work with someone who I wouldn't go for a pint with. That is like my rule now. If I wouldn't go meet you for a drink when you're in Manchester, I'm not going to work with you, because I need a relationship where you're going to tell me when things are going wrong. I need you to tell me if your weight has gone up because you're constipated, and I don't want there to be any weird like barriers, and you don't want to talk to me about shit. Okay, cool, you've not shit for a week and you're doing your period. Of course you feel like trash. Like, and that's where my confidence with coaching comes from, because I have such a good relationship with my clients and my followers, which is why my engagement's also incredible. And then if you've got that level of relationship with all those people, how can my confidence not grow further when all these people appreciate me so much? And all these people are constantly telling me that I'm the best coach ever. I think today alone, 4 of my clients have said that they love me. It's like a running thing now. Like, it's like, nah, I love you. Like, I got told so early on in my career as well that I shouldn't have that relationship with my clients. That it's like needs to be professional and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm going to skew those lines. Like, I'm not going to fuck my clients like most personal trainers do, but I'm going to tell them I love them and give them a little kiss on the forehead good night. Like, and yes, that was a dig. I hate any coach listening to this that has fucked a client. Just start working with them and then fuck them. Like, is it that difficult? Is it that hard? Anyway,
Focus.
It just winds me up, Lewis. So yeah, in terms of confidence of coaching, just care and do a good job. Like, you can't be confident in something you're not trying in. And in terms of personal confidence, and also what's helped with like branding confidence, is just like, don't try and sell something that isn't you. Like, I spoke about this at my last talking event, when I basically said, like, if you're a basic bitch that loves Starbucks, lean into the fact that you're a basic bitch that loves Starbucks. If you're a complete weirdo, lean into the fact that you're a complete weirdo. If you like making little model trains at the weekend, lean into the fact that you like making little model trains at the weekend. Like, I played Dungeons and Dragons for the first time on Saturday night, had the time of my life, booked a call off that.
I actually saw, because you posted about the Dungeon Master taking it really, really seriously, like stepping it up.
No, so he was saying he's really patient, actually, because he was very patient.
That was it.
Because
yeah.
I was.
But it was like, it's something that I've just on that. I feel like this is actually a complete tangent where we can wrap this up. I've never played Dungeons and Dragons, and I feel like this. It's the same reason, right? That I've never played Skyrim, because I know that I will lose myself to it. I know that I'll lose myself to it. I was a Warhammer kid. You should play
Baldur's Gate. It's basically Dungeons and Dragons online.
Yeah, so Baldur's Gate, Magic the Gathering. I've never played either. Again, same reason. World of Warcraft. Yeah. It's because I know what RuneScape and Warhammer did to me, so I'm not even going down that route.
It's a slippery slope,
right? Yeah, absolutely. And Warhammer, and again, I was a kid, so it used to be like Christmas and birthday. That'd be the thing. And
you've got adult
it's
money now.
So expensive, mate. Yeah, it's a good job that I'm not actually into Warhammer now, because I wouldn't be. Do you know what? Yeah, I can't go down that route. I can't go down that route. It is a slippery slope. So this has been Min. You are just to kind of like. You said a couple of things, right? Like, you are genuinely one of the most caring people that I know. Not just as a coach, like the most genuinely caring people that I know. And I think it rubs off on the people that you work with and the results that you get. And again, if I'd have met you 10 years ago, I'd have been one of your clients. If you were now and I'd have met you 10 years ago, I literally, maybe not 10 years, maybe a little bit longer, 15 years ago, I would have been one of your clients. So the reason that I love seeing you do so well is because I've been that person that needed your service. So yeah, it's fucking mint to see. Now, final question. where can people find you? Plug whatever you want to plug. Go wild.
I mean, first of all, come to our fucking event in May. May 11th, bitches.
Yeah.
Anti-bullshit fitness event. Go buy a ticket. My Instagram is pbfitness_1. Still trying to buy that username off the article that's not using PB Fitness, but we're here. We moved. That's the best place to find me.
Sick. Thank you very much for that, mate. It's been mint.
No problemo.